Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Worlds and Crafts, the day maps. Worlds and Crafts is a stream devoted to creation of meta plots, minutiae, mechanics, maps, monsters, kinds of alien. I am Bran, Catholicaros, and I'm host. Today we're going to be working on lands of setting we're building every starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. 8 land features to add. But before we get into that, this is a collaborative stream. Put on at every step. Theme here is creating is better with friends, so if you want your input, always respond. So welcome one and all, and nice relaxing before I get into the actual map making itself, map program we're using many months now. I've been using it. This is the first stream I've ever used it on. It is phenomenally inexpensive and pretty robust, so I highly recommend checking it out. Link right there in the. And as always, even though I plan on making this relevant, Gehenna Gaming is and all that shit considered rated R, just because horrifying things and quite a lot of bit of cursing and stuff. Well, at least for me, because I can't. But covered that. Welcome, welcome. Users here at in Luton do this. Clerks, Sulfrey Wolf, and Utility Muffin Labs. I love the name. But welcome. So last night, about the denizens, lands of. Can I ask the question, who lives here? Besides humans, because we automatically assume who lives here in the lands of. And you know there are several cities. Ruin over here. But more so, there's something ancient under it. Oldest standing city. Check mine. Vindral, that's right. City of Vindral. On the Singing Cliffs. Standing city. We have a city we have. There's no easy way to add, and I'm still not sure how I'm gonna do it. Back of a giant alligator travels around. Ah, thank you very much, Sulfrey Wolf. Let me adjust my settings. Testing, testing. For some reason on some days it seems like my gain misbehaves, and I'm not sure what that's about. Hopefully this is better. Definitely let me know if there's a continued problem. OBS is reporting pretty nominal levels now, so thank you. But as I was saying, we have 3 major cities in this region, and for the most part, we kind of just assumed that it's humans who live there. We didn't really talk about the peoples because it wasn't relevant, at least not at the time. But we did decide last night that that there's a couple different species that are sapient, that are sophont, that live in the region, even if they don't always share space with the people, humans. And they are the Meerun, who are a lizard folk that they're a lizard folk archetype. They're not necessarily reptiles. And they live north of the Wellspring Peaks, so we were gonna focus in on that today. where they live. We were gonna build out some more mountains, and then we were gonna do a big salt pan at the top, which is what the salt flats in Utah are, a salt pan. You know, just a dried up lake bed or inner sea. And because this land is a land of much magic and also danger and fading magic, there are these kind of moving zones, these null zones that can be deeply affected by that. So it's possible that we might have one in that salt. But without further ado, let's just get started. The actual landscape. So to begin, I'm gonna just go ahead and add some more mountains. I think we've got enough snowy peaks right now, but let's take a look at our large mountain range. Excuse me. Might not be exactly what I'm looking for, but fiddle around with that either way. Because this program works in layers, I have to just make sure that I'm on either the same layer as the stamps that's overlapping or a lower layer. But because it's going to inevitably be behind everything, I'm going to put it on a low layer. Seeing if this this pass over here kind of curved up that way. The weather patterns do move from the southwest, so I think we want to kind of angle so slightly. I think I'll do that by dropping that in there. That'll be like the largest piece. But we'll be able to fiddle with sizes and such later. And I'm just gonna go ahead and add some more brown peaks in here. I'm gonna shrink those down significantly as I go, because I don't want them to completely overwhelm base visually. I want them to be large, but not so large that they're a problem. So I haven't asked today. How's everyone doing this afternoon? Fine Thursday. Something I forgot. Listen to the background sound. A lot of the times I like to use, whenever I'm working on things, because it helps keep me focused, I'll use MyNoise, which is a lovely website, mynoise.net. Highly recommend checking them out. There's a lot of sound generators in there. For this particular one, I think I'll look for something involving plains, desert. do Meadowland, just because we're talking about mountains. Let's do some wind, birds, a mountainscape. This one's nice. The Lonesome Traveler generator. Musical, then environmental. Considered a meditational, but go ahead and turn that on in the background. Sometimes it comes through the stream, sometimes it doesn't, so if it is, great. If it's not, boo. Hey there, what's up, Johnny? How you doing? Don't you send me a scaredy frowning cat? I'm gonna down a bit more. Duplicate this mountain over here because I think it's a good one, a good shape. I mean, I could not begin to say, my good dude, it might be your local area. Sometimes areas get overloaded. Noticed. I'm gonna, as you can see over here, there's this spot where this mountain is overlapping the snowy mountain is because it's darker, right? So I'm just gonna drive that back a layer so that way it's truly in the full background. Putting it on layer -1. But as a result of that, I'm also gonna is this small on it to impose. I'm gonna duplicate it. Second one looks nice. Looks good. Hello there, Velixion. How are you doing today? The thing I love about the stamps here, in Incarnate, that they overlap so nicely. Whoever designed these did a really good job at and making it so that they look good in deciding between 12 builds for 5th edition. Dang. It's a lot of decisions. All right, so Drunken Master Monk and Blade Singing Wizard. Know all, drink all, punch all. So a martially adept Tyrion Lannister. Hello there, Kenya D&D? Kenya D&D? I'm not sure how to say that. Oh, Acadia D&D, there we go. Sorry, my brain was not interpreting that. Um, and I thought so too. I thought that Incarnate was always the go-to for map making, just because it's a nice, robust program. But I gotta say, there's been a surprising amount of people who just had never heard of it. So I was uh I was given a nice shout out every stream, especially considering they're sponsoring us. Beautiful people that they are over there. Don't want that. The map making session I think is going well. We're just adding a bunch of mountains, and then I was gonna add some plains and salt flats. I'm liking the way this is turning out. The mountains are maybe feeling a little excessive, but I was trying to get, I don't know, dare I say, as realistic as possible with how deep a mountain range would be. I mean, a significant one that would cast a big rain shadow. Um, so I think what I'm gonna do, that I've added all these, gonna outline them, just gonna highlight them. So one of the things that I learned about Incarnate, general map making of all sorts, is at least graphical map making like this, is you want to outline your map or objects, otherwise they can look kind of like they're floating. You don't exactly want that. So I'm just gonna take this dark color, this land brown one, and I'm gonna lower my opacity so that way I'm not leaving the darkest marks, but not too low, so probably about 70%. And I'm just gonna kind of start outlining my. I'm also gonna get in between the mountains because there is kind of a fade to opacity that I don't want to miss. It'll look kind of strange because there'll be these bright spots in that I don't. And yeah, exactly, Acadia. I'll probably end up removing some of these realistically. But at the moment, I just kind of go with what we're where I can, go with what you can, build it out, see how it looks. If you adjust it, adjust it. If I had to rank myself on map making, I'd say I'm probably still in the novice category. Definitely not a master at it for sure. And on Velixion's builds, I just want to read those real quick. 453 Assassin Battlemaster Gloomstalker. All right. Well, it looks like Shafted Specs and Velixion are talking about D&D in a greater depth than I'm currently prepared to. Shafted Specs is an old friend of mine, so I know for a fact that they enjoy talking about this kind of thing a lot. And because of this mountains that we decided to add, I actually may end up moving this lake up higher, make it larger, or maybe just expand it so it's a big freshwater lake. So what I'm gonna do now is just kind of down, lower my opacity a bit more, and I'm just gonna try and make sure it blends in with the rest of the environment. Not overwhelm it. There'll be more things added, so it won't quite the same. I'm not loving this right here. I feel like it looks strange. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use my mask tool, and I'm gonna sculpt the foreground to remove this curvature in this river, and we'll add it again. But first, what I want to do is go into our stamp collections. I want to add one more mountain, like there, and I'll just if you hold shift and use the arrow keys, you can really move things around pretty easily. So even though it's mostly off the map completely, you can still, it still gives that sense of scale. This, and we'll go ahead and duplicate that mountain, that one right there, just elongate it, make it look like a long ridge. This, yeah, I like that. Size wise, that one at all. Just move this forward, size a little bit. I'm gonna decrease this one's size ever so slightly, and down over here, kind of show a terminus to this range. Cool. All right. So obviously, you know, my outline got messed up, but that's okay. Fix it anytime. Just use that regular land brown color, or we'll just leave it for now because we can go back in later and adjust it for the color of the land on the other side. And before I forget to do it, I am going to go ahead and fix that river. So that's just a size 1 on my tool. So I'm just going to get real close so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, good golly. Something you need to remember is you have to change the shape of your sculpt tool from edgy to circle. So now I'll do a size 1. Cruise it along through. All right. And we'll fix that. I want to fix that little tiny there. Drop that off. There we go. Okay. No, and I'm actually going to remove this because this is technically in a rain shadow. So, not a significant one, but it's in a rain shadow nonetheless. Outside Mountains here cast a pretty long rain shadow. So the amount of precipitation caught on these mountains might be lesser, but there's some on the Wellspring Peaks here, hence the just because they catch that up in there. Sorry, Valexian just asked the question, why does your green screen have trouble with your headphones? I don't have a green screen right now. What I'm currently using is Chroma Cam, and it is, Chroma Cam is currently, without a green screen, it doesn't know how to properly parse my background because there's nothing behind my head. I put my hand back here, it measures depth more than anything. So the closer you get to the camera, the better the parsing is. I don't know, parsing's not the right word. The better the outline is. So it's pretty poor right now. Had a green sheet I was using, and I haven't gotten a proper green. Hasn't been high on my list, unfortunately. I started doing a lot more streaming, you know, more than Worlds and Crafts, I think I would. At the moment, here we are. All right. So I really like this this little zone right here a lot. I think it's pretty cool. Onto the point that I actually kind of want to remove this mountain. I want to add a snowy peak. Um, the one I want. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, there we go. Just because I think, that there would be plenty of stuff that would get caught up in here. Plenty of moisture. Weather patterns come from here, so this valley would probably go through some serious changes throughout the seasons. Serious changes from runoff. Okay. So I don't think I'm gonna detail out the valleys quite yet. I really kind of want to. I really want to dive into setting out the shape of this region. And I think one of the first things we do. I think one of the first things that we should do there is imply a significant drop. Because if it's a salt pan, then it's bound to be an old lake bed. So for that, I'm gonna use some. So I'm gonna go into my stamp catalog and just search for cliffs. Got a myriad of them, and I'm gonna look at for our north-facing one part. Um, I personally find that the cliffs are a little too chunky for my liking. Normally, so as you can see over here, I did made them quite small. But I'm not gonna go that small. I'm gonna keep it large enough that it's gonna be visible from away. I think I'll start that way. We have kind of a steady decline. We only have so many north-facing cliffs we can work with. So I'm just gonna grab all those, put them on the map, and then we'll be able to duplicate, change them around. Okay. So I'll go ahead and just use this dark marker. I kind of want to start the cliffs like and probably go. I want the implication to be that the top of the map is a vast salt flat that just going up. That would be really, and maybe it'll be too big and we'll have to change. But that time comes. So the corner, this lovely lad. That's the nice thing about the north facing cliffs. You're not really messing up much by rotating them. It doesn't make the changes all that significant. Rotate them as you please. But also, dark shape. This one, then I'm going to bring it down in size. Just use it as a vector. But does it? Or gonna make some subtle changes here. I want to change this shape ever so. So once you add, your cliffs, you're just gonna do repeating steps of outlining your thing. About 50% opacity right now. See if I can find some pillars, some stone pillars of some sort. I think of salt flats. I also think of, just like rocks. No, it's just like this endless of salt. Also think of, stones. Hey there, your big dad. The section up top is gonna be that salt pan. And if it's, over large and too big, then shrink it. Yeah. So now that I've just done that, I'm not gonna outline the cliffs in the same exact way. Kind of skip the edge. You want to leave the edge a little bright because you're trying to define it. So you don't want to. All right, allergies. You don't want to completely darken it up, adding stamps. If it's something like this, where it's just a dark line, otherwise it'll just disappear. Stream ruined. I know. How dare I? That's it, Danny. Did you hear that? Ben said stream ruined because I sneezed. How dare I? Danny thought it was ruined because I didn't name it Possum Planet. Because Possum Planet didn't win. Ben says hi. Says hello. Okay. Because that looks like a weird line, I'm just clicky clickies with a slightly larger brush. Blur it, blend. It'll look a lot better once we add more. So, building. Oh shoot! If we're gonna be building a salt pan, I feel like it's gonna be interesting because we don't want to go completely white, right? If we just build it out as just white, that'll look strange. So I think what I'm gonna do is start with a new base color. Maybe we'll do this land gray 2 right here, and get at the end of these. No. You're an agent of chaos, Ben. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take this gray color, fill in here. I want to start seeing. I want to change my background color because, well, so, Well, then again, actually, I'm sorry. Salt flats, while their highlights are white, they don't necessarily have to be a completely white salt. There are salts that are not exactly white. Who else has said that to you? Who else has called you an agent of chaos? So having having about 50% opacity is a good thing because it means that we can kind of blend. So I'm not afraid to overlap our darker patches here, even just a little bit, because it won't completely wash it out. Okay. I think that's a good place to start. So I think we should pick up some rocks and get some rocks. Big boulders. Drink some. Boulders. Okay. Well, let's do about size. Size. Boom. Maybe we'll add some clusters of rocks. And randomly-ish place them. I don't want to completely random. Rude. I'm gonna put that behind. Sometimes it's nice to build up objects. These. Okay, I think that'll do for now. So, I'm just gonna do that land brown one more time on these. And this sound generator is really making me kind of sleep. So something you can do, shadow spots are close enough to each other. That draws the eye. Highlights. Okay. So apparently something that does happen in the salt flats, salt pan, there is still sometimes just be extremely alkaline. I'm not sure if we should add that, but I think instead we'll just focus on adding our correct color and texture. So I went with that land gray one. I'm not gonna go to land white yet. I think I'm gonna kind of layer up a little bit. I'll start with this this parchment color. start kind of grabbing the spots between. Lower my opacity. Quite a bright color. And just to blend it a little bit more, even though these are dark patches, I am just kind of found on the darkness, the dark brown, maybe to gray it a little bit, because oopsie, we don't want it to be completely just this brown to white. And white now. So, one thing I want to look up real quick, what exactly do salt pans look like texture? Looks like they kind of have these crystalline patterns. Yeah, okay. So, I do. Uh, drag this tab in here so I can show you guys. So, the salt flats here, they have that interesting pattern. I'm assuming it's something to do with moisture evaporating. So we're gonna try and add that pattern in. Yeah, we're gonna figure that out. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it. We're gonna do it. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, the Salt Flats is, best places to test high-speed vehicles, isn't it? I can't imagine it's a very good place to be, though. Imagine how dry it must be. Blah. You want to be preserved forever? Here you go. Go to the Salt Flats, kid. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink this down to about a size 2. I'm going to keep my opacity, or I'm going to up my opacity, probably to about 5. I'm just going to start doing like octagon. Not octagons, hexagons? Is that do them small? Quite a large thingy. Hexagons? They're not precisely anything. They're hexagons, yeah. 5 sides. The hex grid, but they're not perfect. Kind of messed up. I think it'll be okay if we just this. And so it looks like ultimately what it comes down to is interesting. Didn't realize that that happened. So it looks like for the most part, it's just kind of a bunch of V's. That's the highlight in the shadow there. I'm gonna take this dark gray, shrink it down, size 1. Gonna try this out. Fix scales. Kind of messed up. Take that gray, erase what I've done, because I definitely realized that the way that the light would be passing not work. I guess we would want the parchment. There we go. I'll look up the salt flats on Google. Because then I can check what it looks like from above. You know, it kind of just looks like a desert, to be honest. Yeah, alright. So, try something a little different. Instead of focusing on the bright reflections, do our coloring. Kind of erase some of the noise adds. I was thinking we'll do a different color. Take oh, cracked ground. That look like it's a. That's exactly what we want. There's a cracked ground texture. I love this program so much. Look at this. Perfect. That is exactly what we want. All right, so what I'm gonna honest to God do is I'm gonna take land white. I'm just gonna fill this in. Land white. Make this as bright as we can, because now that I know we have a cracked ground texture, I don't need to worry. I think I'll go ahead and actually. That's a little better. All right, so now on that, cracked ice, cracked ground, grass. Cool. Now we're gonna take the cracked ground, drag it across here. Doesn't need to be perfect by any means. Enough to let us know what's going on. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that white one more time. I'm going to shrink it all the way down to 1. I'm going to boost that up as much as I can. Let's try bright blue. Yeah. All right. I think I'm just gonna leave it at that, to be honest. Cracked ground. Very white. Cut off. Okay. Now, I'm gonna take a desert text. Paint to the edges of the lower the opacity a bit. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the Arctic look. And if it's hard to avoid, I think we can give it some nice desert stuff. Nothing grows in salt. So the only thing about that. But I think if it's surrounded by desert, it, that I'm gonna highlight around this. Pretty significantly red color. that. This one's not quite a red brown, it's just a very gray, a cool brown. No, I just Danny's watching Into the Spider-Verse, and it's a good scene. That's all. Thought, because our base landform style changed the color of lowlights rather. Color to make things stand out a little bit. Even though it is a bright background with dark objects, you don't want them to look like they're. That would be weird. I will add some more cracked earth texture to. I want it to be a little more stark in some areas. I just get a little darker with it in some areas. Sure we can catch it from far away. Alright. To me, that doesn't look very Arctic anymore. So feeling pretty good about that moment. See what we can do to modify that. Alright, so I think it's about time to take a break. So go ahead and stretch my legs, get some water. So don't go too far. Gone for long. Back with map making, relaxation, but maybe we can spend some time chatting about layout of the land. So we will be back shortly. As always, just because it's relevant than ever, Black Lives Matter. Okay, and we are back. So, I kind of erred here with the size of those boulders, I think. But super biggest of deals, still quite on the large side. So initially, I was thinking that there would be another startup here if it is arid. Maybe we can do arid hill. Um, so let's stamps for brown hill. Closer to size 50. Drop a bunch in. Background behind our Or good. Our regular land brown, 75%. Do kind of wish we had a different color than that brown, because there are these out in arid lands where it's not dead. There are these dry yellow grasses, shrubs that grow still green, still living things, but hardier, pale. Kind of what I was hoping to create, but like we're not gonna exactly get deal with what we get. Now that we placed a lot of landmass things, regions, I'm gonna start adding some grasses. They have some briar land. I think that's deserts. Tumbleweeds. Smack you directly in the chest. I didn't realize how big tumbleweeds were. So, my dearest friend was constantly complaining about them for a while. Apparently, they're huge. Still want some greenery throughout here, but don't exactly want vegetation that it's. I want us to be like lush and delightful. Still pretty sparse. Some agave plants. Hmm. Suppose maybe we will have to go ahead and look at kind of cactuses. That'll certainly help. Really want oh, are some desert prawns in here. Okay, pretty. That's okay. We can have some grasses. Building a Mojave in here. How's it just going through these two? I'm gonna stop randomizing stamps for a minute. And pick my plants to drop in here. now. Nice dead trees. I'm in here. Oh no. That I accidentally used Chrome's zoom function. Not what I want. Alright, so go ahead and do our normal thing. Add our shadows around plants. Around the stamps. Alright. And now I'm going to take our desert one color. Go to town. The desert one color is a bit on the more ruddy side, a little bit more. Sorry, it's more yeah, it's more orange as far as sand goes. It's not actually orange, but it's a warmer color. So I figured that's a good place to start. Add things there. And then use our desert 2 color as a highlight. See if sand texture. But I don't necessarily want this to just be purely like sandy desert. This is the Sahara. You know, this is still gonna be a place that has grasses, like I said, more like the Mojave, the living desert. Dead as dead can be. I do want that sandy background. There definitely will be patches of sand. So let's take land yellow, and wherever we've got, lower my opacity. Where we've got plants nearby, I'm gonna lower my opacity a lot. I'm going to add yellow, like implications, dry grass. Where you might experience runoff, mountains, stuff, hills, valleys. You're bound to have more grasses gathering. In a place you have enough vegetation, bound to have a little bit more as well. We'll even stuff some between. Grab some of the land yellow. I never low-lighted that, so that real quick. Pretty good. Take that dark brown, up my opacity quite a bit. I just want to make sure that I'm getting the area kind of shared between plants, because that's, can't let that go away. Even places where I added more yellow, I go back onto the plants with a smaller brush, a more intense opacity. Now, that same opacity, the areas that we already made yellow, choose spots or vibrant. Nothing, not big patches, just little ones. Here between hills. Again, we had talked about how possibly be a space where, some more vegetation or grasses that grow. Dry grasses, don't get me wrong. I think down in here. Lower our opacity to blend a bit. Alright, so now I'm going to take my Desert 2 color, which is yellow side. Bring my opacity back up. Hitting patches where I think would be quite bright. Where the sand kind of begins to overtake. Definitely have patches. Places even amidst things. A bit of sand. I think up here by this lonely little cat gonna be, that's quite an arid. Implication we have been giving is that further north east you get, more arid. Focus on that area. It. I'm kind of just gonna go back and forth with that yellow. I'm gonna make sure we've got little patchwork of grasses. Patchwork of grasses and sand. And anytime we reach a point where it looks like it's, you know, much on the a little too much on the sandy side or grassy side, maybe it's a little dark, then do is we can just brush larger, lower our opacity, kind of blend it out a little bit. So we're not getting rid of, not trying to get rid of the dark here, but I am trying to blend it in a little. See, like right here. I feel like that's a little bit too stark, so I'm just going to lower my opacity down real far. Just kind of drag back and forth. Blend it into it. Made a ton of changes, so I'm going to save those. So as I've done before, I'm going to make some grass wind blowing textures. But I'm going to try and stick it pretty much just to these yellow areas. And I'm going to take this tool, all down as I can go. I guess I'll go to size 2. Flip our opacity, say, to say 70%. And click along. Kind of to make some waves here. I get too intense. Just a few. Depending on how fast the computer and internet are going, you know, you'll end up being able to move your mouse faster than others, but you're just clicking rapidly. Not gonna go crazy with lines. The lines look stark and don't have any life to them. Not a little bit. Another one. The only problem with clicking is hitting Control Z for undo. Doesn't work super well. So now that I've done that, I'm going to lower my size down to 1, bring my opacity up to 1. Just going to add some bright shine in there. Again, just kind of clicking, but not clicking as much. And lower my opacity down a little bit. Okay. Okay, we'll add a couple more dots here. All right. Looks like it's a little too bright for my eyes, personally. Gonna grab yellow, lower the opacity, kind of give it a stroke here and there, twice. Won't ruin it. I'm at 40% opacity right now. Won't ruin the color. It will just bring back its contrast just a little bit. Okay. So, I want to try something similar with our other, but I wanted to use different. So I'm thinking of using maybe something on the brighter side, like this parchment desertified areas. So it's similar, but we're looking at like small sand. So I think try for that is a little more wiggly, and I'm looking at straight lines, looking at contiguous lines. I'll probably hit this with white after to add a reflection. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we want to do peaks, like actual waves. That looks better. Need anything intense because not clearly not clearly not clearly not large, but we still want the implication of, so maybe do it this way, it'll satisfy the need for kind of still looks like grass, but with different land texture, I think it looks kind of texture. Dark gray texture, dirt texture. Turn off all the other textures. Desert texture. No. All right, so I think the thing I'm gonna do to help to kind of separate this out a little bit is I'm gonna grab. I'm gonna do an experiment. If I fail, save it real quick. If I fail, we'll have to just rewind it. I'm gonna do a little experiment to see if this this works out at all. Bring this down to size 1. Bring up my opacity all the way. Kind of do some lines. Wondering if we can or crud. Well, I have accidentally made it so the program has to think too hard. Now it has to go figure out where we're at. So it's gonna rebuild from where we are. Sometimes that happens if you go back too many changes and it takes a couple minutes. But we're coming to the end of our stream anyway. So I want to thank you all for joining me this afternoon for midday maps on Worlds and Crafts. I am Bran, your host, and this is devoted to opening the curtain of creation on setting building. We talk about metaplots, minutiae, mechanics, all kinds of fun things. So, if you do not know anything about Gehenna Gaming, you should definitely check us out on social media. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and you can join us on Discord, where we have a lot of conversation and a lot of really great people, lots of good socializing. I don't say that lightly, by the way, when I say really good people. We've cultivated an excellent community, and we plan to keep it that way. So come check us out there. You can follow me on Twitter at Kathakaros, Kathakaros. Otherwise, yeah, that's it. Oh, one more thing. Check out the Red Opera. I hope this has been fixed. It has not been fixed. Okay. So check out the Red Opera on Kickstarter. It is It is a wonderful indie 5th edition third-party content that is a city run by warlocks. So if you like the world's most famous magical sugar babies, no, not Monster Hearts 2, go away. If you like the world's most famous magical sugar babies, then by all means, check out the Red Opera on Kickstarter. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to sign off, so thank you again for joining us today, and I hope the rest of your day goes lovely, and that you have a amazing week. Take care, y'all. Remember, creating is better with friends.